Cartoon Network might have been the place where we met our favorite heroes, but let's be honest, it wasn't always sunshine and slapstick. Sometimes that channel went dark, like really dark. There were nights you'd tune in for laughs and end up staring at the screen wondering, wait, what just happened? In fact, some of the episodes took us rewatching after years to fully grasp just how intense they were. So let's peel back the nostalgia just a bit and look at those times Cartoon Network went way beyond what anyone expected for kids' TV. Before we get into our explanation, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Mask. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Kids' cartoon might have a little spook here and there, but mostly they tend to be safe, goofy, and colorful. But Courage the Cowardly Dog? Not so much. And there's one episode that takes the crown for spooky scaries. The story of the episode, The Mask, opens with a woman named Kitty, masked, hitting Courage and claiming all dogs are evil. Masking her face isn't just creepy, it's psychological. Kitty has a backstory. Her best friend Bunny is trapped in a violent relationship with Mad Dog, and Kitty's trauma bleeds into her hatred of dogs. Meanwhile, Courage is dealing with emotional scars, second-guessing Muriel and Eustace, and trying to protect someone he doesn't fully understand. The episode uses the mask as a metaphor for how trauma hides behind symbols, how pain distorts perception, and how the ones who hurt most are rarely the obvious villains. Her trauma twisted her view of the world, and she hides behind her porcelain mask because facing what she's lost is too hard. Courage, who's usually the scared one, turns into the show's moral center. He doesn't fight Kitty, he tries to understand her. When Bunny and Kitty finally reunite, they drive off together in freedom while Courage watches quietly. Also, we get this lingering question about the kind of relationship Bunny and Kitty have, but that's a different story. This is weird for what was billed as kids' programming on Cartoon Network. We've got a story with domestic abuse, emotional manipulation, identity issues, and rescue not from monsters, but from human cruelty. By the time the credits roll, you're left with an uneasy feeling. Kids show? Yes, but not wholesome at all.
Say, did encourage me to be quite no.
Freaky Fred. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Speaking of courage, there are a lot of dark episodes to choose from. We could literally take our pick of the litter, but we chose Freaky Fred, one of the very first episodes. On the surface, you've got Muriel's calm nephew Fred showing up for a visit at the farmhouse out in nowhere, but he isn't your typical funny relative cameo. Instead, Fred introduces himself with this quirky rhyming monologue that can send chills down anyone's spine, especially when he claims he's been very naughty. What really twists it is Fred's obsession. He's a barber with trichotillomania, an uncontrollable urge to cut hair. He reveals early on how he shaved his pet hamster, then his girlfriend, then the men in his barber shop, and then he turns his attention to Courage. Locked together in a bathroom by Eustace, Fred calmly starts trimming Courage's fur, narrating the act like it's a horrible lullaby. That scene, nail-in-coffin kinda creepy for a kids show. Fred hardly yells, he's polite, British accent, smiling, carrying a briefcase, yet everything about him screams scary, and the naughty repetition undercuts the horror with a mocking wink. It's not cartoon monster fear, it's something deeper. So, the character kinda messes with your head. It might even have been borderline confusing to watch as a kid, but as adults, every time we hear Fred, it gives us the feeling that something is crawling under our skin. What makes Freaky Fred so haunting isn't gore or violence, it's how quiet and unsettling it is.
On your mark, get set, go! My girl!
Speed Demon, the Powerpuff Girls. Now, it's one thing to spot dark themes in Courage, the show was meant to be something different from its inception, but Cartoon Network didn't even spare shows like the Powerpuff Girls, which seemed pretty harmless at the time. While watching a Saturday morning cartoon about 3 superpowered kindergartners who usually save the day with bright colors and quick jokes, you're not really expecting anything too dark or psychological. But the episode Speed Demon proved us wrong. The girls decide to race home from school for fun. Simple enough, right? But their speed goes so off the charts that they break through time and end up 50 years in the future. And what do they find in Townsville? It's a wasteland. Him rules. The sky's red, the people are messed up, the professor's gone senile, and the mayor's gone. It's totally apocalypse level. What hits hard is the psychological horror overlay. The girls are confronted with the idea that their absence caused this mess. Two things collide here. One, the fear of failure, like if we don't do this, the world ends. And two, the reality that even supergirls can't always fix everything. Him tells them that they left the town and it died. The citizens chant "your fault" at them. That's brutal for a kid's show. The world turned gray because the girls took a break. Do we really want to tell little girls that? And the episode doesn't neatly tie everything up either. They get back, but you know the memory of that future is stuck with them. Yes, they're superheroes, but they're still little girls, and no kid at that age deserves a burden like that. Abracadaver, the Powerpuff Girls. There's another Powerpuff episode we absolutely can't miss, Abracadaver. It opens with the girls and the mayor wandering through Townsville's old magic theater, which used to belong to the magician Illusion. Back in his day, he pulled big acts, but one night he got humiliated, stumbled into an Iron Maiden, and died on stage. Flash forward, demolition of the theater awakens him as a zombie magician, Abracadaver. The visuals in this one are just too intense for kids. Abracadaver is hyped up with spells, turning buildings into houses of cards, slicing up facades with giant saws, trapping civilians like toy victims, and even hypno-magic swirling around Blossom's eyes. But the shock doesn't end at spooky visuals. The narrative hits a nerve. Illusion was humiliated, dismissed, and laughed at, and he returns for revenge. That kind of bitter rage is a heavy theme for what's supposed to be a children's hero show. When he mistakes Blossom for the girl who pulled his pants down decades ago, you realize the threat isn't capes or aliens, it's humiliation, trauma, and obsession. And the fact that the girls are first paralyzed with fear, clutching each other while watching a zombie film before the call-out, adds this meta layer. Instead of saving the day with witty banter, the Powerpuff Girls wrestle with fear, helplessness, and a villain who's twisted by his own past on stage. Jack and the Haunted House. Samurai Jack. This episode just hits different. Jack is wandering alone at night when he follows a little girl's drop teddy into a creepy old house. What looks like a simple help the kid moment turns into something much darker. It's not your typical haunted house you stumble upon in amusement parks. This house is haunted by trauma. Every creak, every flash vision, every candlelit corridor feels like a memory that won't let go. Inside, Jack finds pieces of the previous occupants' lives. Model ships, abandoned toys, rooms that feel frozen in time. But as he explores, doors disappear, windows vanish, and the house begins to warp around him. What's terrifying is that Jack isn't fighting a villain in the usual sense. He encounters a shadow beast formed from the souls of a family, consumed by an entity that owes no allegiance to his arch-enemy, Aku. It's a primal, desperate, and deeply unsettling episode. Parts of it drift into black and white, ink brush-style sequences where Jack is tied down, powerless, watching as the monster uses souls like puppets. It's horror, pure and unfiltered, and a show aimed at kids. In the end, Jack frees the girl and the family, sorta, but you're left with the feeling that this fight wasn't just about defeating a monster. It was about confronting the idea that sometimes you wander into a place where pain has outlasted the living. We would like to believe that this episode changed Jack. Haunted. Teen Titans. Teen Titans usually just focuses on the team and their rivalry with their nemesis, Slade, but the episode Haunted isn't about punches and gadgets. It's about a mind that trusts the dark a little too much. The episode kicks in with Robin digging up Slade's mask, and when the dust flies, it carries a hallucinogenic reagent. Suddenly, the boy wonder starts seeing Slade everywhere, even when no one else does. His team watches him drift, fight phantom seismic generators, get knocked out, and push away the very people who have always got his back. Meanwhile, the visuals get weird. Slade showing up only in the dark, branches not moving when he lands, rain falling everywhere but through him. Yep, someone noticed. Here's where the psychological horror creeps in. Robin's obsession with Slade has been simmering for seasons. Slade has always been the thing that pushes him the hardest and breaks him the fastest. He's carried this fight in his head for so long that when the mask triggers the hallucinations, it feels like his own past came back to punch him in the gut. He's not just chasing a villain anymore, he's chasing himself. And the people who actually see him, his friends, start to doubt whether he's the hero or the threat. They should know him, but in this episode, they don't. When he finally figures out that Slade was never there, that it was all in his head, it doesn't feel like relief, it feels empty. Like he's seen something inside himself that he can't unsee. Robin collapses, beaten, but maybe a little more human for it. The mask still glows red in the end. It's easily one of the darkest things Cartoon Network has ever aired. The end. Teen Titans. This is it. When the stakes weren't just high, they were everything. The Titans face their most hopeless challenge ever against the demon Trigon, and by the time the battle's done, you're watching what feels like the apocalypse from the front row seats. In the end, the world burns. Buildings collapse, the sky grows red, civilization is frozen like a bad dream. The Titans are scattered, defeated, and desperate. What hits hard is how this isn't just big fight scenes, it's despair in motion. Raven knows she's the portal. She knows her dad will destroy everything. She doesn't hope anymore. Her sacrifices aren't glamorous, they're grim. There's no triumphant music, no last-minute save, just raw understanding that they might not win. Robin pulls Raven out, Starfire, Cyborg, and Beast Boy fight clones of themselves, hearing that Trigon believes their fight is pointless. Side by side with the monsters and heroes stripped bare, pushed into the question, what is a hero when the world has ended? The emotional weight is heavy, and by the time the credits roll, the Titans are bruised, the battle is still ongoing in some ways, and the world is changed forever. For the audience, it's a wake-up call that even heroes face failure, and sometimes the only answer is to keep standing anyways. Holly Jolly Secrets. Adventure Time. At first glance, Holly Jolly Secrets sounds like a goofy holiday special. Finn and Jake digging through the Ice King's old VHS tapes sounds fun enough, but by the end, this two-parter hits like a punch to the chest. It quietly turns into one of the most heartbreaking backstories Cartoon Network has ever aired. See, the Ice King wasn't always the babbling, lonely weirdo we know. He was once a normal guy, Simon Petrikov, a smart, kind-hearted archaeologist with a fiancé and a life. Then he finds this weird ancient crown, puts it on, and everything starts to fall apart. The magic gives him power, sure, but it also starts eating away at his mind. Slowly, he loses himself. At first, it was just a strange artifact, but the more he wore it, the more it began to take him apart. You can actually see his descent through these old recordings, his voice trembling, his eyes losing warmth, his words breaking apart as he begs to hold on to himself. It's not cartoonish madness anymore, it's the horror of watching someone fade into their own shadow, piece by piece. What Adventure Time did here was bold. It didn't turn Ice King into a joke or a villain, it turned him into a cautionary tale about loss. Not just of memory, but of self. And that's what makes Holly Jolly Secrets so haunting. It hides something deeply human inside a world of candy kingdoms and talking dogs. Mortal Folly. Adventure Time. If Holly Jolly Secrets gave us tragedy, Mortal Folly gave us pure nightmare fuel. This was the episode that proved Adventure Time wasn't just a quirky fantasy, it could go really, really dark. The tone shifts the second the Lich enters the story, and suddenly the candy-colored world of Ooh feels small against something ancient and unspeakable. The villain here is the Lich, pure unfiltered evil. There's no mid-season redemption arc or punchline waiting. In clear terms, he wants to erase everything that lives. So basically, the Lich is like an existential threat to all forms of life in Ooh. He talks like he's already seen everything die before and he's just waiting for it to happen again. There's no reason behind his evil, he just is. The moment that amber cracks and the Lich comes out, man, you can feel the air change. Even the sound design gets weird, like the whole world is holding its breath. Finn, being Finn, charges in like the hero he is, thinking he can fix everything with courage and a sword. But this time, it's not enough. This isn't a monster you beat, it's something you survive. What's wild is how dark it gets without ever screaming about it. The way the Lich moves, the way he talks, it's this quiet kind of horror. You don't realize it right away, but the show's basically making you stare into the idea of death itself. By the end, you're sitting there like, wait, was this supposed to be for kids? Nightmare Hospital. Steven Universe. This one sneaks up on you. What starts out as a fairly normal mission episode for Steven and Connie quickly turns into something genuinely loud. Here's the setup. Connie's mom, Dr. Maheswaran, rocks up to a late-night hospital call and weird things are happening. Meanwhile, Steven and Connie sneak in to retrieve Rose's sword. Suddenly, the halls shift. Everything from the lighting to the mood changes. Quiet hospital plus weird body movement plus creepy muttering. The usual cartoon tone takes a hard left turn, and then the body horror kicks in. These so-called patients show up, who aren't victims of car crashes, they're fusion experiments gone wrong. Limbs in the wrong place, germs in places germs shouldn't be, moaning under covers. One scene shows a figure under a sheet with no heartbeat. Even Dr. Maheswaran acknowledges that this doesn't look like a car accident. These things move in broken, twitchy ways, like their bodies don't understand how to function. And Connie's mom, a real-world doctor, is doing her job in this bizarre space? That contrast is messed up in a good way. On one hand, you've got serious emotional stuff like Connie pushing for independence, mom fearing for her kid, and on the other hand, body horror that feels lifted from a horror flick. It's weirdly heavy. For a network that bills itself as kid-friendly, this sure doesn't match the agenda, and by the end, when the lights finally come back on and the monsters are gone, there's this weird silence. Change Your Mind, Steven Universe. Fun fact, Change Your Mind was actually supposed to be Steven's big victory lap. The whole show had been building to this. Him facing the diamonds, trying to prove that love and empathy could fix everything. But what we actually got? A slow-burning identity crisis wrapped in full-on body horror. It starts all bright and hopeful with Steven trying one last time to talk things out with White Diamond. But the whole vibe of Homeworld is already off. Everything's too clean, too white, too perfect. It feels sterile, like the kind of place that's been scrubbed of personality. Then you realize that's the point. White's entire thing is control. She wants everyone to be just like her, flawless and obedient. And she sees Steven as the final flaw she needs to correct. So when she yanks Steven's gem right out of his body, that's when the show goes from emotional to straight up disturbing. You can see his human form collapse like a puppet with the strings cut, pale and lifeless. The gem reforms, but instead of Pink Diamond, it's Steven. A gem version of Steven. And the two of them, human and gem, actually face each other. It's weird and beautiful and terrifying all at once, like watching someone meet their reflection for the first time and realizing it's a different person. Then, White starts puppeteering everyone, literally taking over their minds, bleaching out their colors, forcing them to smile. It's subtle, but it's psychological horror done right. When she tries that on Steven, it backfires spectacularly. Both halves of him fuse back together, and that's when it clicks. He's not his mom, not Pink Diamond, not some replacement. He's just Steven. This episode doesn't even end with a fight. It ends with acceptance, so we don't know if we can call it dark, but if we did, we'd say it's beautifully dark, but perhaps too deep and too real for kids. Mad Mod, Teen Titans. You know how Teen Titans usually starts with chaos, jokes, and someone blowing something up? Yeah, not this one. Mad Mod starts with the Titans waking up in what looks like some twisted version of a school, and right away, you can tell something's wrong. Everything's too colorful, too cheerful, too fake. Robin's tied to a chair, there's trippy music blaring, and a British guy in a bright suit is calling himself your teacher. From there, it's basically a fever dream. The halls move like conveyor belts, doors lead back to where you started, and gravity keeps switching sides just to mess with them. Mad Mod breaks their sense of reality. Robin sprinting down corridors that stretch like rubber, Beast Boys getting hypnotized by flashing screens, and Raven, who's usually calm no matter what, starts losing her grip. It's this weird blend of cartoon logic and real psychological torture. The whole school becomes a metaphor for control, rules, authority, punishment, the kind of stuff kids face every day, but here it's turned into a nightmare. Mad Mod keeps calling them delinquents, trying to teach them a lesson, and it hits you. He's not after their bodies, he wants their obedience, their minds. By the end, when the Titans finally flip the script and trap him in his own illusion, it's satisfying but still unsettling. You realize the scariest part in all of this was that feeling of being watched, tested, and toyed with.
Vault! Proof!
Come Along With Me. Adventure Time Finale. So here it is, the finale everyone felt. Oh, and it's also our final pick. Come Along With Me doesn't play it safe. It throws in apocalyptic stakes, existential crises, and wraps the whole wild journey of Finn, Jake, and the Land of Ooh in one massive emotional hug. From the start, this episode feels different. We're told by BMO, thousands of years in the future, here's the story of what happened. That framing alone makes you sit up. Time has passed, things changed, life went on, but also things might end. And then the war hits. The Candy Kingdom, the Gumballed Army, the threat of Golb, everything the show has built up. Fantasy, weirdness, adventure, it all gets pulled into one maelstrom of chaos. Finn and Jake are fighting the end of everything. Their treehouse falls, allies are lost, the world they've known cracks. But here's the part that sticks with us. The episode isn't all grand battles and spectacle. There are quiet gut hits. Princess Bubblegum and Marceline have a moment, one of the most real and honest moments the show ever gave us. Simon and Betty's arc resolves in a way that feels earned, messy, and human. Identity, loss, change, it's all there. And the ending, man, when the new tree sprouts where the treehouse stood, when the montage shows what everyone ends up doing, it's not perfect, it's the result of trial, death, transformation, but it's beautiful. That last scene with young Beth and Shermie becoming their generation's Finn and Jake, it still gets us every time. It closes the chapter without pretending nothing changed, and we can't think of many kids' shows that dared to do that.
Here!
Marvelous verdict! These are the episodes that haunted us, moved us, and maybe even helped us grow up faster than we were supposed to. Beneath all the bright colors and goofy sidekicks, Cartoon Network slipped in stories about grief, identity, obsession, and fear of the unknown. And you don't see us complaining. That's what made old Cartoon Network so epic. They were about something real, and while we don't mean to diss the kids' cartoons that different networks are spewing these days, they can never match that depth. That's all we got for you this time, but if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.